September 16th through the 18th. The entrances are located at both sides of the Detroit Superior Bridge. For more information, call 216-589-9444. Our next set of participants at this year's Ingenuity Fest truly embody the spirit of blending art and technology. Matt Mellis is a scientist at the NASA Glenn Space Center in Brook Park. Inspired by his passion for the space shuttle, Mellis set out on a mission to share that passion through the art of film. Using some of the amazing launch footage available to him, the scientist made a breathtaking movie, Ascent, commemorating shuttle. Recently, Matt took his enthusiasm a step further by allowing pianist James Praznik and saxophonist Garrett Cameron to create an original score which will be performed live as Ascent is shown at Ingenuity Fest. I want to start, James and Garrett, by mentioning the fact that the film originally has its own music, and yours is very different from that film's score. So what inspired you to create more music for Ascent?
Well, it was originally presented to us by the director for Ingenuity Festival, James Krause, who said that the pairing of NASA with what he knew, what Garrett and I have already done in the past as far as other films we've scored. And he presented it to us with that soundtrack, and I looked at it and I thought, okay, there's this very mellow, very nice soundtrack that Matt, put onto the movie because it was public domain music and it was easy to get a hold of. And I looked at the film and thought, if there's any one thing that we had to do with that score, it's to do something completely the opposite. And then I watched several other films on YouTube, and I brought them to Garrett, and I showed him that people really responded to that big Hollywood kind of sound, the epic film score idea. So we tried to reconcile, art music, free jazz, a little bit of minimalism, some, ideas from, any time between 1830 and, 2010 as far as classical composition goes, and make it just a very exciting film as opposed to this very mellow, meditative experience.
I wanted to ask you, Garrett, if when you were watching the film, there was energy that you were feeling, that you were trying to capture through your horn.
Through the film, sure. I mean, mainly I play off of James a lot, so I guess he feeds through the film and then I feed through him, sort of kind of thing. But yeah, I've actually only been playing saxophone for a year now.
Really?
And yeah, so that's the kind of stuff that I started out with, just because I like to, screw around, make weird noises, and so now I'm just starting to play pretty stuff, I guess. So,
I wouldn't say this music is pretty, but it's beautiful in the way that it mirrors the energy of the launch. And I've got to move to you, Matt, and say it is, as I said at the opening, a breathtaking film, but you are not by profession a filmmaker, so how did you come to put this project together?
No, I'm far from a filmmaker. There's no question about that. I've been at NASA Glenn for about 28 years. After Columbia was lost, NASA Glenn had a strong contingent of folks that were called upon to assist with the accident investigation and the return to flight. And so I became involved with the shuttle program for about 5 years. And in the process of being involved, one of the things that we advanced was launch photography down at Kennedy Space Center. And so I immediately became fixated on putting a film together that presented it in a fashion that was easily digestible. And I never dreamed that so many people would be interested in it. I thought there would be a couple hundred copies of the DVD and that would be it, but it's really taken its own life.
And the original footage, was it in such loving slow motion, or was that an effect that the director put on?
In fact, I specifically, and there was a tug of war with the production team as to how long we should let the clips go. The clips that you see in Ascent are the actual speed of the clips that are watched by the film review teams at Kennedy Space Center. And so I felt it was important to experience the process as the film reviewer experiences it. And so all of the clips deliberately were long running and at the speed that they normally are taken at. And again, the commentary if you listen to the commentary version of the film, it goes into detail about how the films are made. There's 16 millimeter, 35 millimeter, and high definition video that comprises the whole DVD.
And I found it interesting because I watched both the version with just the original musical score and the version with commentary, and the one without commentary was a great meditation piece. I just was staring into the smoke and the flames. But the second piece with commentary went by so quickly. I mean, same film, same footage, but it went by so quickly because I was being directed to see a whole different universe inside those things I was watching.
Well, this is an interesting aspect of that. As you can imagine, I was involved heavily with the edit of the film. There was a lot of clips that didn't make it to the ultimate final 42-minute piece. I looked at those clips for hours and hours on end, and today I still go back and I look at them and I will see new nuance to certain parts of the movie that I never recognized or observed before, and that's why the films are so valuable and so important, not only to the engineering community but to the greater public.
Right. I'm curious, James and Garrett, if you had any interest in science before this. I mean, did the technical aspects woo you at all, or was it just the silent film and the length of it?
Well, the technical aspects certainly became a very fascinating point. I mean, you know, I guess, you know, as a musician, you have to be interested in other things besides music. And I love physics. You know, I love biology. Chemistry confuses me quite a bit, but that's, well, it doesn't.
So you're confused.
Well, I don't want to say that. But in all seriousness, what really fascinated me was the fact that these photos, these images, these technical images, which, you know, Matt makes very clear that they were used for technical purposes. And, you know, most people when they see this film still just see like technical footage. But when you watch the film, there are parts of it where the composition of each frame actually seems like an artist would have sat down and, you know, and painted this. And it really becomes inspiring for many parts of it. Mm-hmm. So I guess the artistic aspect wins over the technical aspect in my mind. But then again, what kid didn't want to be an astronaut?
And they're pretty chilly when they get into their liquid state. You can actually virtually look into the cockpit.